If you're a fan of the weird, strange and true stories like me, delivered in a story format, then you've come to the right place. I will be uploading a couple times a week. If that's of interest to you, please give the like button a click and subscribe to my channel and turn on all notifications so you won't miss any of my uploads. Let's get to today's story. The picture on the wall. When I was a young kid, my family lived on Sunset Drive in Wichita Falls, Texas. I lived with my parents and siblings. I had one sister and two brothers. My sister was the oldest, then I had a brother 1 year older than me, and one brother younger than me. We had a typical childhood growing up. My father loved to fish, and so did my older brother and I. Sunset Drive was off Seymour Highway in Wichita Falls. Sunset Drive dead-ended, and had a guardrail at the end with several stop signs. If you were driving a car and didn't stop before you hit the guardrail, you would drop off a cliff 15 feet down to the Wichita River. At the dead end on the left side, was a walking trail that led down to the Wichita River and a nice cleared off section that my father, brother, and I would fish at. We would catch good-sized catfish at this location. On the right side just before you got to the guardrail, was a gravel driveway that led up to a very old house that needed lots of work done to it. It looked like it was right out of a horror movie. The driveway was on a gradual incline higher than the road, and further to the right. The house sat on the top of the cliff. An old man lived at this house, and was very grumpy. If you got too close to his property, he would start cursing at you, and throwing rocks. We would stay away from that side of the road when we played, or rode our bicycles. He must have had 100 dogs, because of all the barking. He also had 55-gallon drums all over the place, and the area just smelled so bad. Like from old grease. One day early in the summer months, an ambulance went to his house and a short time later left with its lights and siren on. My father told us a few days later that the old man had passed away. A couple days later some people came to his house with a box truck. We believe it was his relatives removing his personal belongings out of the house. We didn't hear the dogs anymore after that. Several weeks went by. We would be out playing, and riding our bikes up and down the street. We would soon get enough courage to get closer and closer to the driveway, then we would slowly work our way up the driveway, and then up to the house. On most of the 55-gallon drums that were there, some would have the lids off, and we could finally see what was in them and making that bad smell. They looked like they had old restaurant grease, and chunks of animal fat in them. I'm not sure why he would have these, but it stunk up the whole area near the property. The lower windows on the house had 2 to 3 boards nailed to the window frames. My sister and brother walked onto the front porch, and I soon followed. We were curious, and tried the front door handle, and to our surprise, it was unlocked. We knew nobody was living there, so we slowly opened the front door all the way. We all stepped into the house, and was standing in the front room. The house smelled of mildew or a musty odor. Straight in front of us about 10 feet away was a stairway that went up about 5 or 6 steps to a landing, then turned to the right, and up about 6 or 7 more steps to the second floor. To our left was a bedroom. At an angle was a doorway that went into a kitchen. We went into the bedroom and looked around. On the floor was some trash but nothing else in the room. We went back into the front room and under a window was a broken piece of furniture. A small wooden end table possible with one leg broken off. On the floor was pieces of trash and a couple of very old pieces of newspapers. We went into the kitchen and looked around. There was trash left on the floor, and empty cans of dog food on the counter, and scattered about the floor. Straight ahead was a bathroom, and to the right was the back door. We decided it was time to head upstairs. This is where the story gets very scary. When we came into the front door of the house for the first time, we noticed a picture hanging on the wall above the stair landing, and a couple other pictures were hanging throughout the house. The picture hanging at the stairs was a very old picture in a wood frame. It was a portrait of a man from the waist up, that was turned slightly to his left when the picture was taken. The man was looking to his left, as if staring at something. My older brother went up the stairs first, and my sister was right behind him. I was still on the floor. My brother, almost at the top of the landing when he and my sister just stopped dead in their tracks. As I looked up to see why they stopped, I could clearly see that the eyes in the picture were no longer looking to the left as before, but now looking directly at us. They were the most piercing eyes I'd ever seen. I was the first to turn around and start screaming as I ran as fast as I could to my bike. My brother and sister were right behind me screaming. From the old house to our house was about a half block away, but it seemed like an eternity. We screamed all the way home. We never told our parents about this until we were in our early teens, and had already moved to a different part of Wichita Falls. We never went back to that house again. If you look at a current map for Sunset Drive in Wichita Falls, Texas, the road has been completely changed. It no longer dead ends, and looks to be leveled off. The old haunted house has been torn down. On the left is a nature center, and on the right where the house was, it's a public works sanitation division. This story has a part 2. Called The Dancing Red Shoes. Coming soon.